One, two, one, two. What's going on, my fellow sport fans? I can't say just Jet fans because I know I got other people who watch other sports on here as well. Um, Kind of rough day today, to be honest with you. I was trying to get a specific look on this live stream from my camera to the through the computer. Long story short, I was doing it like 4 hours, didn't work. Got some different lights set up. Hopefully, I look a little bit better than last week. I know it was a little bit, fuzzy. With that being said, I thank you for tuning in. My name is June the GM, and I'm here to talk about all things sports today. As you saw the thumbnail that was up, I'm here to talk about the number 7 draft pick for the New York Jets. We're gonna have a little bit of GOAT talk later on in the episode. I did want to discuss an interesting move that I did see in the NFL. The Giants going with Jameis Winston at quarterback. Very interesting. Does that mean that the New York Giants are going to draft Shador Sanders if he's available to sit behind Jameis a little while and I don't know, learn a thing or two and then start eventually? That's what I'm thinking. I can be totally wrong. You'll let me know in the chat what you think. But I do think that that was a smart move by the Giants, having somebody who's personable to to kind of mentor Shador. Man of God, Jameis is. He's a hilarious dude. I love him on TV. So I think it's a smart move by the New York Giants. I got to give them some props on that pickup. I don't think they're trying to win this year. I do think they'll be competitive. They're not trying to win, but I think that's a fantastic way to draft a quarterback if that's your goal, to have a guy like Jameis Winston in place. That's why I'm feeling pretty good about Justin Fields being with Tyrod Taylor. I think Tyrod Taylor can do the same thing in his own way for Justin Fields. Now, there's been a lot of smoke screens around this time of the year because we know that it's draft season. The draft is coming up soon. And there's a lot of lying going on. Let's just cut through the chase, all right? A lot of rumors, hey, say this and say that and throw them off. We don't want nobody to know that we go in this direction and that direction, all the talking. And no one knows really what team is going to draft anyone. We do know that there are, to me, I say one elite prospect. People say two. People say Abdul Carter and obviously Travis Hunter. For me, it's only one elite prospect. That's Travis Hunter. I love Carter, but I think he's coming in with several injuries. I don't know how serious those injuries are, but I never like taking a player that high who has a history with injuries, right? When I draft someone number 1, number 2, or number 3 overall, I don't want him to have no history of injuries. So that's a little bit scary to me. I'm going to be honest with you. Now, we all know the names that have been tossed around when it comes to the high echelon talent coming out of college this year. It's the Travis Hunters, the Abdul Carters. We hear about the Mason Grahams. We hear about the Ahmad Members and the Campbells out of LSU. The Johnsons, Will Johnson out of Michigan as well, the corner. So there's some talent in this draft. You know, it's kind of weird. I hear a lot of so-called experts saying that, oh, there's not that much talent in this draft. It's a weak draft class. Well, hold up now. A lot of depth at defensive tackle, at the tight end position. I think it's a real solid draft, especially when you're talking about later on in the draft. I'm talking about third, fourth, fifth round. I think there's a lot of value there. And I told you before, I heard a GM say this, and I love this saying, and I've applied it to something to, and I've taken it and I say it now basically that free agency is to fill needs and draft is for value, right? You want to get value when you draft. That being said, the New York Jets drafting at number 7. Once again, we're in the top 10. Fantastic. I'm so excited. But we're in the top 10 and we draft number 7. I'm going to start by telling you who I think will not be there at the 7th pick. Travis Hunter will not be there at number 7. Let's forget about it. Travis, no, he won't be there. He's out of there. I don't think Abdul Carter will be there unless The medical report says that the injuries look more serious than what people think. I think he's going to go early. Cam Ward will go early. I believe Mason Graham's going to go early. And I also believe that one of two tackles are going to go early, either Campbell from LSU or Memble from Missouri. Word is as well that New England is very high on Tyler Warren, a tight end from Penn State. And we all know that the New York Jets are very high on Warren from Penn State. When you look at the Jets roster, we're very, very weak at the wide receiver position aside from Garrett Wilson. And we have perhaps one of the worst defensive lines in all of football. I mean, I think Alabama could have ran on us last year. Honest, I think college teams could have. I think Genty could have ran on us. You know what, Jimmy? I didn't look too deep into the Abdul's legal issue. I did hear about that. That's another scary thing, right? Because we all know what happens when certain things come up during the draft day process. A lot of top-notch talent falls down, just like the kid Jalen Carter out there in Philly. He ran into a little bit of trouble, that car situation, and he fell down to Philly, and look at him now. Woo, one of the best in the league. So what happens? If he's there at 7 for the Jets, I mean, it'd be hard for the Jets not to grab Abdul Carter if he falls down because of whatever issues. Hopefully it's nothing too crazy. But that being said, like I was saying, you look at the Jets team and we look right in the secondary. We picked up some safety help. But the Jets need a lot of help. That's why I'm not too gassed up about us making the playoffs this year. I'm not going to talk crazy no more. We need a wide receiver, more than one. We need defensive line help, and we need tight ends. Notice I said tight ends with an S because we don't have none. And please don't tell me Jeremy Rucker. Like I said, we don't have any tight ends. So that being said, think about this. Think about this. With the 7th pick, would you draft a tight end, Tyler Warren? Because that's the elephant in the room. Would you draft Tyler Warren at number 7, knowing that this is a deep tight end class over an Armand Memble out of Missouri, who's a plug and play at right tackle, in a draft class that's not really too deep at the right tackle position? Think about that. This is a deep tight end class where you can pick up a legitimate tight end who can start for you in the 2nd or 3rd round. Is Tyler Warren that much better than the other tight ends in this year's draft class? You got Loveland out there in Michigan. You got Fannin out there in Bowling Green. You got the kid out there from Oregon. You got a lot of talent this year coming out of college from the tight end position. So I've been really thinking to myself, man, it's interesting. It's not a deep class for wide receivers. Major fall off, I believe, from Ted McMillan and Igbuka, and then the rest come. And the same thing with the right tackle position. You got Campbell, who I think could play right tackle, and you got the kid Memble. After that, there's a little fall off. You know, you got Banks out there in Texas. I don't want no Longhorns on my team. I'm a Oklahoma Sooner fans. Horns down. I'm sorry. Anyway, would you be mad, Jets fans? Yes, deep running back class too. But that's the deepest position I think in the whole college, coming out of college, the running back class. I think that's the deepest. But we don't need no running backs. That's why I didn't mention them. Let me ask you, Jets fans. Would you take a tight end at number 7, Tyler Warren, knowing that this is a deep tight end class? Or would you make a wise decision if Memble was there and grab him and plug him in at right tackle and start building that offensive line like the Detroit Lions have, where Aaron Glenn came from? Talk to me. What you think? Let me see in the chat. Because I'm going to tell you what I would do. As much as I love Tyler Warren, I am not going to draft a tight end at number 7, knowing that I can pick up a legitimate tight end later on in the draft. If Membu was there, I'm going to take him. I like him more than Campbell. I was looking up his statistics. I was seeing the mean streak, the way he pancake blocks people, the aggression he plays with, the anger, his athleticism. Give me Armand Membu at number 7 if he's there. Plug and play. And then I can worry about my tight end position later on in the draft. Either way, I don't know how it's going to look, right? Because it's like I said, it's not a deep wide receiver class. They're all good wide receivers. You know, the kids out there from Iowa State. You got the kid out there from Missouri as well. I think it's going to go late first round, if you ask me. But my thing is, I don't feel comfortable taking the tight end at number 7, knowing that we need right tackle help. And I pray to God that these free agents that the Jets got, they don't think they're going to plug and play them in. Because they're career backups. Those are just dudes on the bench in case the starter, in case the backup to the starter gets hurt. Okay, those are them type of players. Another thing I wanted to discuss, play style. Anybody who knows anything about Tanner, our new OC, I'm not going to try to say his last name, Ekstrand, it's kind of weird. Anyway, my boy Tanner, the new OC who came from Detroit, who was the passing game coordinator for the Lions. Word is, I read a report a while ago that one of the things he did most for the Detroit Lions was spend time to develop game plans for the tight ends in Detroit. And we know Sam Laporta went crazy his rookie year. Second year, he was banged up. Please understand, guys, because I think sometimes you don't understand what an injury is. It's hard to play injured. If you ever played football, I played obviously not at the highest level, but I did get busy when I was young. It's hard to play injured, right? So Sam Laporta was hurt last year, but please understand that Tanner, he is very heavy and hands-on with the tight ends, and that's what he did in Detroit, on top of the passing game. That's why I'm hearing that the Jets are so enamored with Tyler Warren. Now let's talk about Tyler Warren, right? The kid is 6'6", I believe 260. Weight could fluctuate. In season, it could be 250, it could be 270. We don't know. He's around 6'6". The kid is very physical. I said this a while ago, and now I'm hearing all of a sudden other people say it. Kind of makes me wonder if they taking notes and stuff. Whatever. I told people he reminds me of Jeremy Shockey. I love the kid. I think he's a game changer. We need to stop comparing him to the kid out there in the Raiders, Bowers, because they're different players. Bowers is around 6'3", 230-ish, I think, 235. Smaller guy. Really like a big wide receiver if you want to keep it real because he can't block. Different play style. Tyler Warren is your throwback type of tight end. Think Jeremy Shockey. Think Gronkowski, but a little bit more athletic. Think Mark Bavaro, because he looked for the contact, right? Mark Bavaro was a beast, by the way. Ooh-wee, Mark Bavaro. Anyway, Tyler Warren is that throwback tight end. Caught for over 1,000 yards last year. Had a hell of a year last year at Penn State. I heard people say, oh, he only had 1 year production. Well, the year before that wasn't a terrible year. You know, he put up a couple numbers. It wasn't a 1,000-yard year, but I think he's proven to be who he is. He's the best tight end in this year's draft class, at least on paper and on film to me. I'm sorry they keep on talking about this kid in Michigan. No, stop. Tyler Warren, if you've seen Penn State play, is by far the best tight end in this year's class. So he is worth a top 10 selection in terms of what he can bring. A lot of people are saying that, oh, should nobody draft the tight end in the top 10? That's not true. That's not true. If he's going to be a game changer, you mean to tell me if people use Sam Laporta was going to have the rookie year he had, about that nobody would take them players 2, 3, 4, 5 in the draft? Of course you will. That's an impact player. So Tyler Warren is an impact player, but once again, here's the issue. This is a deep tight end class. Do you take a tight end at 7 when you can take a tight end with one of your other 2 picks in the top 73? I say no. Chat, let me know. What do you think? Another thing. to just have more internal issues than we think. We got a lot of players coming up on contract years. That's why it's good to get young talent who you can plug and play early so you can get at least 3-4 years out of them before the contract talks start coming up, because they come up faster these days. Dudes is pushing the envelope with that type of stuff. Let me touch on this. Any team that drafts Travis Hunter is going to look good. We always talk about like when they talk about quarterbacks, they say, what does the quarterback have? What's the one innate skill set that they have that separates them from the pack? Well, let me tell you what separates Travis Hunter. Okay, and I got an explosive episode next Sunday, by the way. Explosive. But I'm not going to talk too much on that. Stop the Dion hate. Forget about he played for Dion and all that stuff. Have you ever seen, even Charles Woodson wasn't as dynamic as Travis Hunter in college? You've never seen a kid that dangerous on offense and that talented on defense in your life. Whoever gets him, if they use him correctly, hopefully it's a team not in my division. Please, Patriots, don't draft him. I don't want to face him. But if he goes to the right team who knows how to utilize his special, anointed gift, if he goes to the right team who knows how to utilize that kid, just think about this. A dude who's going to shut down your number one receiver, and then if they can have a couple of offensive packages for him, like he won't be a starter on offense, right? But if they can have a package for him where he's on the field 10 to 20 plays, my God, we might see something we've never seen. Never seen. And that's why he deserved the Heisman Trophy, by the way. Or that Genty. I've seen Genty before. Don't get me wrong. He's one of the best college running backs I've seen, but I've seen Genties before in college. I've seen running backs go crazy before. Okay? Stop. Let's stop acting like what Genty did was never been done. I've seen good running backs in college. Have you seen Reggie Bush in college? Huh? You seen Reggie? Okay, stop. Okay? Let's relax. We've seen great running backs in college before, but we've never seen a dual threat like Travis. I fall in love easily Hunter. Yeah, he does. He gotta fix that. Anyway, that's my take on that. He's the best player on the board for me. I don't think he'll go number one. I believe Cam Ward's going to go number one to Tennessee. I believe number two will be Abdul Carter out there with Myles Garrett. Ooh, in Cleveland. Ooh, that's ugly. Number three, I think Sanders is going to go to the Giants. I can't figure out the others, but I could tell you at 7, I do expect at 7 for Tyler Warren and Membu both to be on the board. And my pick would be Armand Membu. I think you plug him in at the right tackle and you solidify one of the best young, talented lines in all of football. What do you think? Jimmy, you say that Vrabel will have a crazy time. Yeah, he will. Yeah, he will. But that other corner Gonzalez, oh, man, that's dangerous. That's what I'm saying, that sometimes, it just lands in your lap. It looks like New England is going to land in their lap to get Travis Hunter. Because I think it's going to be there, but they draft 4, right? I think it's going to be there at 4. And that's just, oh, man, I don't even want to think about that. It's going to be hard to pass on that team. And Vrabel, one thing about him is he can coach some defense. That boy is good with the defense. That's his thing. In our division, I think we, us and perhaps New England are going to battle for like last place. I know there's a lot of optimistic Jet fans that say, you don't know what we can do, this, that, and the other. And you're right. I don't know. I don't know if, we can somehow, some way surprise people and fight for a playoff spot. Do I believe that's what's going to happen? I don't think so. Wait, Brian, I think you got to wait 7. It's too early for a tight end unless you go. Right. That's what I'm saying. I believe that, Brian. I just don't think that at 7 you can draft a tight end when it's a deep tight end class and you got an offensive lineman like a Membu. Look at his highlights. It's crazy. But looking at the Jets where they're at as a team, right? First year head coach, first year offensive coordinator, first time GM, right? Not first time head coach, first time offensive coordinator, first time general manager, Mr. Muji. It's a lot of first time. I think the way you fix a first time whatever stress is by solidifying the offensive line when it comes to football, which is the most important thing to do in sports. How you think the Philadelphia Eagles won the Super Bowl? That offensive line. Best offensive line in football. That's why Saquon Barkley was running like he was back in high school somewhere. Okay? Second best offensive line in football is the Detroit Lions. Did you notice the struggles the Chiefs had in the Super Bowl? You see why they got blown out? Because their whole offensive line was hurt. Mahomes had no protection. And in the NFL, which means not for long, when you don't show up, when you have an offensive line that cannot block for you, I don't care who you are, Joe Montana, Steve Young, Jim Kelly, Troy Aikman, Dan Fouts, Warren Moon, I don't care who you are. If your offensive line can't block for you, you will not be a good quarterback in the NFL. The line is everything. Why do you think Joe Burrow... Joe, listen, y'all don't know about the greatness of Joe Burrow. This is a side note. That boy gets hit so much down there in Cincinnati and still puts up crazy numbers. That being said, that's why Kansas City got smoked in the Super Bowl. They couldn't block for Patrick Mahomes, okay? They couldn't block for him. And you seen Jalen Hurts was back there combing his hair, looking around, winking at girls, turning back, tying his shoelaces, then letting go of the ball. He had all the time in the world because Philadelphia's offensive line is that serious. So you're trying to tell me if at 7 that kid Membo's there, you don't grab him to solidify one of the best young offensive lines in football? By the way, word is that my Jets are the youngest team in football. Per age, check it out. We're very young. Why not solidify the offensive line? That's what I want to do. Yeah, David, and that's the thing. That's what we talked about earlier, Brian, that in a tight end class, is Tyler Warren way better than the other tight ends? He's better, but is he way better? There's not a lot of top-notch right tackles in this draft class. There's just not. There's a lot of great running backs, but there's not a lot of great wide receivers. Right? There's a lot of good tight ends, but there's not a lot of good offensive linemen. It doesn't mean there's not a diamond in the rough. Doesn't mean there's not a dude that nobody talked about that's going to make it to a team and get busy. But on paper, there's really not. Little gift for my daughter, all Jets every day. But so I want to, I'm gonna put the lineup after we have the GOAT talk. I'm gonna put up the link. So if you want to call in and talk some of this draft business with me, because this is a key pivotal draft for the New York Jets. Let me tell you how pivotal it is. I think you need to get 4 starters out of this draft. If not 3, with a possible 4. Man, it sounds like I'm playing spades. You know? You need to hit on this draft because we have no defensive line. We have no wide receivers. We have no tight ends. My God. What happened? We were just talking about Super Bowl last year with Aaron Rodgers before the season started. Now we talk about we got nothing but holes. Anyway, Muji has to hit 3 starters, close to 4. I would love 4 starters, but if he can lock down a legitimate wide receiver, a legitimate tight end, and some offensive line and defensive line help, he has his work cut out for him. He better be one hell of a talent evaluator. I'm telling you right now, it's very hard to hit on 3 draft picks. It's hard to do what Pittsburgh did, but I broke down on my other episode that I believe it was 1974 out of their first 5 draft picks, the Pittsburgh Steelers hit on 4 players that became Hall of Famers. That's crazy. I can't stop thinking about that. Out of their first 5 draft picks, the Steelers in 1974, 4 out of the 5 became Hall of Famers. Damn. And to this day, they're still one of the best drafting teams in the NFL. Them and the Ravens always have good drafts. Always. The Ravens, the Steelers, they are known for having hella drafts, man. They just good. They good at what they do, man. And lately, the Vikings been having real legitimate draft classes as well. Let me tell you something too. We'll cover this on another episode, but I'm very strong on the Vikings this year. If they can figure out that quarterback situation, I don't know how good JJ is gonna be. But if the Minnesota Vikings get good quarterback play, they're gonna be hard to beat in the NFC, man. I'm gonna tell you now. They are stacked with talent, man. That team is well coached. They're stacked. The defensive coordinator, Flores, came back. Woo-wee! What you saying, Jimmy? Who was the fifth? Was he a decent player? You know what, Jimmy? I don't know. I don't know who was the fifth. That's a good question. I should have researched that. But I was just so caught up on the 4 out of the 5 being Hall of Famers. I just was confused. Like, how does that even happen? You know? I think it's time. We're 27 minutes in. I think it's time for everybody's favorite time. You know, a lot of people were telling me how much they love the GOAT Talk. And today's GOAT Talk is going to be pretty legit, man. I have a pretty legit GOAT Talk. And once again, the GOAT Talk is something that I came up with. I do it because I feel that so many great players get overlooked. You know, so many great players get overlooked by today's generation. And it's sad because, you know, one of these days you're going to be old and forgotten. And let's pray that they bring you up, right? I pray that they bring me up when I'm long and forgotten, you know? So with no further ado, man, let's get to what we got to get to, man. Like I said, I'm trying to figure this out as I go, but I think it's time for some you know what it is. Let's go. Yeah. You already know. Everybody's favorite time is GOAT Talk time, baby. Today, I want to discuss one of my all-time favorite players growing up. The man was an All-American, I believe twice, at the University of Purdue, the Boilermakers. In his last collegiate game, check this out, this is crazy. He ran the ball on offense 15 times for 93 yards. Then on defense had 10 tackles, a pass breakup, a forced fumble. In the 11 total picks also in college. Let me not overlook that. But in the NFL, let me read you these stats. This is incredible. One-time Super Bowl champion, voted to 11 Pro Bowls, first team All-Pro, 6 times. Remember, I told you guys, I'm not saying, you know I got very intellectual people tuning in, but I do want to break this down. A Pro Bowler and an All-Pro are two different things. Pro Bowler means you're one of the best at your position, and All-Pro means you are the best at your position. So this man was an 11-time Pro Bowler, first team All-Pro 6 times, recorded 71 career interceptions, which ranks 3rd all time. He played for the Pittsburgh Steelers, San Francisco 49ers, the Baltimore Ravens, where he won his ring, and the Oakland Raiders. The man is none other than a first-round draft pick, 10th overall selection of the Pittsburgh Steelers, one of the greatest cornerbacks to ever take the field, Rod Woodson, number 26. Rod Woodson. He was my favorite player growing up. I actually wore number 26 because of Rod Woodson. Yes, I'm a diehard Jet fan for over 45 years, but when I played with number 26 because of Rod Woodson. Rod Woodson The light skin assassin. Smooth with the curls on top. Look like El DeBarge. Yeah, he do. Like that family. Man, he was a good player, man. I mean, you don't make 11 Pro Bowls and 6 All-Pros not being a great player. Look at his highlights. Look at how smooth he was. Graceful. Did it at Purdue. Did it at Pittsburgh. One of the greatest players at the position. In fact, the NFL has him rated as the number 2 best corner of all time, behind Deion Sanders. Love Deion, but Deion didn't like contact. Woodson was a great tackler. That's debatable. I'm not going to lie, but it's hard to beat the Jerry Curl Juice Master, primetime Deion Sanders. I mean, whew, there's another video for him. But, you know, Rod Woodson, for you to be in a conversation of best corner to ever play lets you know how amazing this man was. And once again, a Steeler. The Pittsburgh Steelers are known for drafting incredibly well. My God, they only had, correct me if I'm wrong, I do got a Steelers fan on here. Mr. Lansky, my man, Mike is on here. You've only had 3 head coaches in your history. Or am I bugging out? I believe it was only 3. No, Coward, and my man right there, why is not coming to my head? Mike Tomlin, right? Only 3 head coaches in your history. That's crazy, man. That's the difference between an organization being ran the correct way and then what you get with us, the New York Jets, who had Adam Gase and Rich Coach, had all these other bombs. Damn, I'm sick of it, man. Anyway, back to Rod Woodson, man. 10th overall pick in the first round of the Pittsburgh Steelers. My favorite player growing up, a beautiful, graceful corner who knew how to cover, knew how to tackle, was intelligent, didn't get beat a lot. Had a severe knee injury and came back in the Super Bowl with the Ravens and shut it down at the safety position and got his ring. I pray one day to meet him. He used to be on TV. I don't know what happened. They took my boy off TV. He's not there that much. He was on the NFL Network, on Fox and all that. But now, I hardly see him. But, I do want to give some respect to Mr. Rod Woodson. Held the NFL record for 12 interceptions, ran back for touchdowns. Thank you, Mr. Ness. Need I say more? What else could we say? Rod Woodson is today's GOAT and one of the best corners to ever play in the National Football League. All right, y'all. So this is the time when I want to take some calls in. I'm gonna put the link up there in the chat. If anybody wants to call in, ask any questions, or just talk some sports, get something off your mind pertaining to sports, the link is in the chat, man. And yeah, Jimmy, Woodson was a real football player, man. Not to say that these kids nowadays ain't, but man, they, I don't know, man. It's like the NBA, man. There's always something, man. Oh, I heard I got a sprained pinky. I can't play 9 games. It's crazy. This is just ridiculous. But the link is in the chat. Anybody wants to call in, don't be afraid. We're here to talk sports, talk a little bit of football, anything on your mind. I do want to say that also while I'm waiting for people to call in, I'm a little disappointed in the free agency class of the New York Jets. I think some teams did really well. Word is, too, that Aaron Rodgers was up there in Pittsburgh. I don't know how you feel about that, Mike. I'm very jealous. I'm very upset that he left, but I'm not mad at him. Go get that ring because he definitely makes you a contender. If Aaron Rodgers goes up there to Pittsburgh, they're going to contend for a bowl. With that weaponry out there, Metcalf and Pickens, that's scary. But Minnesota had a very, very strong free agency class as well. I believe that the Commanders had a good, strong free agency class, and you got to be careful with them. The Commanders are a team that's serious, man. They're right on Philly heels, man. The Rams with Devontae. I mean, the NFL, the NFL is very exciting, man. It's my favorite sport right now. Harder like the NBA when all I see is 3-point shots, going in, and I'm not interested. I like the physicality of the game, man. Also big shout out, man, to Rick Pitino, who did one of the who did one of the dumbest things I've ever seen a head coach do in the history of basketball. I mean, to sit down your superstar player who got you there, the biggest play of the year, to sit him down at the pivotal moments of the game when you're up, when you're down 2 points, when it's a 2-point game, and you sit him down because he shot 3 for 17. I don't care if he shot 1 for 90. I gotta have my best player in the game to give me a chance. Because if you notice, St. John's could have hit a shot when it counted most. Nobody could have hit a shot for St. John. How you have the best player on the? Come on, Rick Pitino. Come on, man. You got out coached by Calipari. I'm sorry. It was an Italian stallion matchup, and Calipari handed it to Pitino, out coached them, and the Johnnies are done. St. John's are out of there. UConn's out of there. That's crazy. But I might just have to get that off my chest because I thought it was disgusting for Rick Pitino to do that. So we're around 37, 38 minutes. I ain't got no callers in. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I know that I'm trying to figure out a good time slot to have the show on. There's a lot of content creators on at all times, and honestly, I'm not afraid of competition. Although I'm new, I'm not gonna like put my time at a different slot because a certain person's on, and it is what it is. You like my content, you tune in. You don't, hey, more power to you, man. But if you got any ideas about other time slots you would prefer I be on, so I could consider those. I'm getting some things done behind closed doors to start having some legitimate guests on. But once again, I'm just starting out. I'm early in the game. This is a process, and Rome wasn't built in a day. And I'm planning on building something that's gonna have longevity, that people are really gonna enjoy for a long time. Better sports content, and something different, right? Because I feel like I don't want this show to be just about somebody giving their opinions, but somebody giving an insightful opinion, something that was well thought of. You can only talk about the Jets, but so much. And I love my Jets, but I like talking about other teams as well. I'm a Jet fan for life, but I am going to be covering other sports. I did tell you guys that I'm going to be covering some NBA stuff, NFL, definitely baseball. Not too much baseball. I know it's a little boring, but anyway. I will be talking about any major sports things that come up. We will be covering the draft very soon. In fact, I'll be in New York for the Jake Asman draft party. I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be dope. I get to meet a lot of the shit talkers that's on there, always talking crazy. Sometimes I get fired up on that show because dudes just be, going crazy. But, I'm grateful that you guys tuned in. You see the email on the bottom. Any ideas for shows? Don't hesitate to send me an email. If you got any ideas for episodes, any ideas for time slots, any ideas for people you would like for me to bring on the show, don't hesitate to let me know. I appreciate you guys, and I truly pray that you have a blessed evening. This is June the GM signing out. God bless.